Now, Medicare for All is incredibly popular with the American people. And the whole program, Medicare itself, is the most popular program in America. Now, especially among Democrats, but among Republicans as well. In fact, as far as Medicare for All goes, over 80% of Democrats are in favor of it. So it's incredibly popular. It's very, very popular. Now, activists are, of course, they're fired up because we actually see that there's a chance to start the conversation on getting Medicare for All. Now, one of the great things about going through the era of Trump and having Trump Care fail so spectacularly is that it actually got the ball rolling on having a conversation. People are, fired up. They're like, let's go do something better. Obamacare is not perfect. Trump Care is awful. How about we go to Medicare for All? So, it's time to get with the rest of the world and guarantee health care for everyone. Now, inside the Democratic Party, we seem to be having a different discussion, right? They should be pushing this as a whole. And yes, it's in the party platform. But you see people out there like DNC Chair Tom Perez that aren't exactly pushing this, that are avoiding the question, that aren't really talking about this issue or a lot of other issues. And because of that, he keeps getting protested everywhere he shows up. Ron, I know you've been telling me, and we've been seeing videos of this every time. They went on the Bernie Sanders and Perez went on this so-called unity tour, right? And every time Tom Perez got up to the mic, boo. Mm-hmm. He'd have a constant. It's like a constant entourage of people just booing him. It's kind of funny. Like that's the kind of stuff that you see in cartoons, right, or comedy shows. Just constant entourage.
It's very frustrating for people when, you're watching MSNBC, you're watching Chris Hayes, you're watching Chuck Todd, whoever it may be, CNN, and they're actually asking direct questions. To be fair here, they're asking direct questions. They're saying, do you support single-payer health care? Bernie Sanders says, yes. You know why? Because that's a yes or no fucking question. And then Tom Perez goes on this spiel about values and when we put hope on the ballot, we win. I'm sure some of you guys might have seen it. Me and Jimmy made a sketch once where I play a journalist and he plays Tom Perez, and I go, "Hey Tom, what did you have for breakfast this morning?" And then he goes, when we lead with our values, everybody gets the best breakfast. And, my favorite lunch food is a turkey sandwich. And he just never – and that's what Tom Perez does. And people are really sick of it because he won't say the word single payer because, their donors don't want that. And people are seeing through it now. Not only that, but this guy is a very weak leader. There's nothing about him that strikes leadership, that strikes a direction. You can go on the Democratic website. You don't see a clear platform. They don't have clear ideas for anything. They don't have a clear idea on how to get to $15 an hour minimum wage. They just say they eventually want to see it. Well, I eventually want to see us go to Mars, but I don't have a plan on getting there, nor is it a big priority for me. And people are getting really sick of that. And they got really sick of it this past weekend in California. Yeah,
they're tired of the platitudes. So when Perez, whenever he goes up to speak, he's got this entourage of people that are booing him, that are chanting Medicare for All. And that's actually what happened in this video that I'm going to show you. There was a group, National Nurses United, that were saying, hey, Medicare for all, Medicare for all. They're leading some chants. They're leading some, protest against corporate Democrats. And then this happened.
Hey, shut the fuck up or go outside, all right?
Shut the fuck up and go outside. He was addressing the National Nurses United, the protesters. Now, so who is this guy? Well, let me give you some context, all right? So this is John Burton, who is the CA Democratic. He's like a CA Democratic official. I think he was a leader in California. I'm not sure if I'm like 100% on that. So, again, he to give you some context, what he said before that, he said, I've been backing universal health care before you were born. Back in the 1998, He also said, put your fucking sign down. We're all for it. But wait a minute. You obviously don't belong to that same Democratic Party, and you've got a really funny way of showing that you're for single payer. And you're factually wrong. So let me go through the Democrats, and you can add some, Ron, if I miss any. Nancy Pelosi, against single payer. That's the obvious one. Claire McCaskill, Joe Manchin. Oh, you even had the presidential candidate for the Democratic Party in 2016, Hillary Clinton, who was against Medicare for all, universal health care. She said it would never, ever happen.
Yes.
So that's funny. We're all for it. Are you? That's bullshit. Did I miss any?
And at one point in time, Hillary Clinton was. The Hillary Clinton of the early 90s sang a much different tune. And then something happened, Jeff. I don't know what that something could have been, but I have a feeling it has to do with checks from the pharmaceutical industry. And she definitely changed her tune a good bit. As did, and there were probably others in the Democratic Party that had a similar situation. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, another one that you didn't mention, she also does not support single payer. And there's graphs out there where they show you state by state, because there's a lot of single payer bills out there now. They'll show you state by state who does not support them and who does.
Howard Dean, that's another one who got bought out by the health insurance industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so if you're going to say you're all for it, but you have no plan on how to get there, then obviously you're not for it. And maybe you sang a different tune in 1992. I sang a different tune in 1992. That was a while ago. I've grown a lot since then and changed as a person, as people do. So, it doesn't matter the tune you sang in the 90s. It matters the tune you're singing now. So the tune you're singing now is universal health care will never happen. The tune you're singing now is, we're all for it. We're going to strengthen the ACA. How? We don't know. We haven't thought that. We're going to strengthen it. How? Are you going to get us the public option? Well, maybe. I mean, if we would have had the public option in the first place like we should have, then at the very least it wouldn't have been repealed, or it would have been a hell of a hard time for the Trump administration to try to repeal it. So we at least would have had more protections, but they couldn't even get the public option. They wouldn't even give us the public option. Obama promised it. He backed out on that promise. And us on the left, and I remember it, Jeff, you remember it, we watched on the sidelines day after day as that bill got gutted. It started out as maybe a sling on a broken arm, a homemade sling, but a sling nonetheless. And at the end, it became a Band-Aid on a broken arm. The sling would have been a lot better. Still wouldn't have been a cure for a broken arm, but it would have been a hell of a lot better than the Band-Aid that we got. Although that Band-Aid is a hell of a lot better than nothing at all. Because not only did we have a broken arm before, we had a broken arm that had like a weight on top of it. So we at least got the weight off and a Band-Aid on it. But that's not enough. That's not enough. So I don't know if you're going to change the Band-Aid, that ain't going to be enough either. Yeah. It's time for a real cast, which is a single-payer system. We had our step. So many people said, well, we need a step in between those two things. Well, you got your step. You got your step. So now's the time. And I've said this plenty of times, but I think that if Democrats put single-payer on the platform, I think they would dominate for the next 40 years. I really do. I mean, they have to have other stuff on the platform too. But I think
sure. But that's a big issue.
That would be a big one. That would be a big one.
Yeah. The thing about that, like putting it on the platform. Now, Burton, back in 2016, when he took over, it put out a list of things that the California Democrats should stand for. One of them happens to be a belief that healthcare is a human right and support for single payer. Well, that's kind of funny. You say that if you're going to be a California Democrat, well, then you should support that. Well, Nancy doesn't support that. Nancy Pelosi is a California Democrat. Maybe you should instead yell at her, tell her to go the fuck outside, instead of yelling at those activists who are actually trying to go out there and raise the issue of, you should support Medicare for all. For fuck's sake, it is an incredibly popular proposition, not just among Democrats, but among Republicans as well. It's super, super popular, and yet, no, we're going to tell the people who are protesting for that, get the fuck out of here. We don't want you here. That is the same kind of condescending tone that they sent us progressives throughout the entire primary. We don't need you. We don't want you. Get the fuck out of here with your liberal progressive ideas. You're gonna rock the boat. You're gonna make it so that it's so much harder for me to get campaign bribes from my donors. And I don't want that. I want to continue to get the money.
They tell you to shut the fuck up and get out, and then they lecture you on the importance of unity.
That's the most ironic part.
Shut up and get the fuck out. We need to unite, you guys. We need to come. Shut up, get the fuck out. We need to unite. We need to come together. Before it was, shut up, get the fuck out. We don't need you. Actually, you do.
You do. You kind of do.
You do. Oh, well, shut the fuck up and unite. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Unite, motherfucker. Unite with us.
So this is
like one of those. It's like one of those like drunk. Like a drunk bully that's like, just shake my hand, bro. I want to make peace, motherfucker. Fucking shake my fucking hand. What? Fuck you. You're not going to shake my hand, you fucking pussy. What? Fuck you.
Yeah, this is the Democratic Party.
This does not seem like a peaceful situation.
This is the Democratic Party right here. Oh, okay. We need some unity.
Yeah. And keep in mind when you say Democrat, you're referring to the establishment and the powerful.
The corporate Democrats.
80% of people that identify as Democrats, 80% of them support Bernie Sanders' platform. 80% of them support him. I think about that many want single-payer health care. So no, this is not everybody. I mean, this is those at the top that are holding progress back. And that's why we need to make every effort to primary these people out, to start at the base level and to, really clean house on the party, because, we can't wait until, I totally like the idea of more choices. I really want to see the day where we do not have a two-party system anymore. I think it's essential that the two-party system ends. And I'm certainly not against looking into new parties, third-party options, and stuff like that. But the thing is 2018 is coming, and that's not quite enough time. So you have to have, like I've said before, you have to have an above-all approach. I support the ideas of Draft Bernie. I support the ideas of Justice Democrats, because we're all working towards the same end. Mm-hmm. And those are all important things to do. Work with the Democratic Party from within to try to clean house, to try to take it in a better direction. And then once you do that, if the corporatocracy is still around and we've at least stopped the disaster that is Trump, well, then it's like, okay, we got to go in a further progressive direction now. And I'll say this, man, when you don't have a two-party system, there's not a political party that can get away with straight up not having a platform. The Democrats really don't have a platform. That's just, I read the website like once a week or more just to make sure like I'm up to date on this. They really don't. They have a lot of platitudes and a lot of nice things that sound pretty and that sound nice. And it'd be like, yeah, it'd be great if we could have that. They have no plans. There's nothing about like, we want to eliminate student loan debt, so we're going to use the pay it forward model that Australia has had success with, and the way we're going to unroll it is this and that, and we're going to ease student loan debt this way. We're going to have forgiveness here, and then from then on, certain people, 3% of your income is going to go towards making sure college is free for everybody, and it's going to benefit everyone, blah, blah, blah. They're not doing that. They're not saying we're going to get to single payer and here's how. They won't even say single payer. They're not saying, we're going to end the wars. And now's the time for them to saying, hey, we're going to work towards an amendment to eliminate the Electoral College. Now's the time for them to do that. That's a grossly unpopular thing in our democratic experiment. And Democrats are the ones that get fucked hardest by it. Mm-hmm. So why not? I know that's playing the long game. But if you have it in the platform, that gives people something to get behind. It gives people something to get behind. We're going to get to $15 an hour minimum wage because we need to have that sharp of a jump. We can't be like, well, eventually we'll get to 12, and then someday you'll get $15 an hour. Baby steps. That's really easy to say to somebody that's never had to live on either $12 an hour or $15 an hour and can tell you there's a big fuck of a difference. And that's something easy to say to somebody that doesn't give a shit that if wages kept up with inflation, our minimum wage would be at about $20 plus an hour right now. That's easy to say to somebody that doesn't give a shit about that. But you know what? People on the left, they do. They do. And you know who else does? The working class. They do. And Democrats don't have that message. And that's why they're losing the swing states. That's why they're losing them.
And they're not going to win them back with platitudes. And they're definitely not going to win them back by saying, get the fuck out of here. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYT Nation.